My dentist husband had an affair with his receptionist, but that was just the beginning. When I discovered what they were really doing, I couldn't believe it. 10 years, that's how long I've been married to Nathan, 39M. I'm Rebecca, 37F, a middle school English teacher in our small town of Ridgewood. We have 2 wonderful children, Lily, 9F, and Ben, 7M. Everyone in town knew us as the golden couple. Nathan built his dental practice from the ground up after we moved here. Within 5 years, he became the most sought-after dentist in our county. I loved my job teaching 8th graders, even on the days when they tested my patience. We had a beautiful 2-story house on Maple Street with a garden I tended myself. Our friends often joked about how we had it all figured out. Last month, that perfect image cracked wide open. It started with small changes. Nathan began working late more often. At first, it was once a week, then twice, then 3 times. When he came home, he went straight to the shower before even greeting me or the kids. He claimed he wanted to wash off the dentist smell before hugging us. His phone would buzz constantly, but he'd ignore it when I was around. If I walked into a room, he'd quickly put it away or turn it over. I told myself it was just work stress. The practice was growing, and he'd hired 2 new hygienists in the past year. Managing a bigger team meant more responsibilities. I convinced myself this explained his distraction at dinner and why he stopped asking about my day. The first time I heard whispers was at the school's parent-teacher conference night. I overheard 2 mothers talking in hushed tones about Nathan and his new receptionist, Kelly, 26F. They quickly changed the subject when they noticed me. I brushed it off. Small towns breed gossip. But then it happened again at the grocery store. And at the coffee shop. Always the same names, Nathan and Kelly. Always the same knowing looks among the gossipers. I met Kelly once at the practice's Christmas party. She had started working for Nathan about 6 months ago. Young, ambitious, with a business degree. She handled the office management, insurance claims, and patient scheduling. Nathan introduced us briefly. She was polite, professional. I confronted Nathan about the rumors one night after the kids went to bed. He laughed it off, saying small towns need entertainment. He reminded me how much he valued our family and our life together. I believed him because I wanted to. Because the alternative was unthinkable. Then came the text message that changed everything. I was grading papers at the kitchen table when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. The message simply read, "You should know what your husband is doing." Attached were 3 photos. Nathan and Kelly sitting close together at a restaurant in the next town over. Nathan holding her hand across the table. The timestamp showed Tuesday night 2 weeks ago, one of his late work evenings. My hand shook as I stared at the images. The restaurant wasn't even in our town. They had driven 30 miles away to avoid being seen. The planning, the deliberate deception, it made my stomach turn. I sat at the kitchen table for 3 hours, staring at those photos until I heard his car pull into the driveway. When he walked in, I held up my phone without a word. The look on his face told me everything. No denial. No explanation. His shoulders slumped as he set down his bag. When I asked why, he stared at the floor for a long time before answering. Kelly and he had grown close over the past year. What started as friendship turned into something more. He claimed he tried to fight his feelings, but couldn't anymore. I threw my phone against the wall. The screen shattered. Just like my trust in him. Just like our marriage. I screamed until my throat hurt. How could he throw away 10 years of marriage? How could he risk our children's stability and happiness? What about all our plans, our dreams, our future? He stood there, taking it all. Not defending himself. Not fighting back. Just accepting my rage with a look of resignation. I couldn't stay in that house another minute. I grabbed my purse and keys and drove to my sister Anna's house. She opened the door in her pajamas, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside without questions. My phone kept ringing, Nathan calling over and over. I turned it off. I couldn't bear to hear his voice. The man I'd shared my life with for a decade suddenly felt like a stranger. Anna set me up in her guest room. I lay awake all night, replaying 10 years of memories, searching for signs I might have missed. Had there been others before Kelly? How long had I been living a lie? The next morning, I turned my phone back on to dozens of messages from Nathan. Begging to talk. Pleading for forgiveness. Promising he would end things with Kelly. Too little, too late. My first concern was Lily and Ben. They had school that day, and Nathan had taken them as usual. I texted him that I needed space and would be staying at Anna's for a while. The kids could stay home with him for now to maintain their routine while I figured things out. Anna insisted I eat something. I couldn't stomach more than a few bites of toast. She called in sick to work to stay with me. I did the same, emailing the principal that I had a family emergency. The word emergency felt right. This was a crisis that demanded immediate action. By afternoon, word had already spread. My phone buzzed with text messages from friends checking in. The small-town rumor mill worked at lightning speed. Everyone knew about Nathan and Kelly. Everyone knew I had left. Nathan continued trying to reach me. Call after call. Text after text. I read them but didn't respond. What could he possibly say to make this better? I thought about Kelly. She knew Nathan was married with children. Did she imagine herself replacing me? Taking my place in our family home? Becoming a stepmother to my children? The thought made me physically ill. After 2 days at Anna's, I realized I needed to see my children. I arranged to pick them up from school. Their faces lit up when they saw me waiting in the pickup line. They raced to me, full of stories about what I'd missed during my work trip, the explanation Nathan had given them for my absence. Lily asked when I was coming home. Ben wanted to know if I would make tacos for dinner, his favorite. Their innocence broke my heart all over again. How would we explain to them that their family was falling apart? I took them for ice cream, trying to act normal despite the churning in my stomach. I couldn't bear to tell them the truth yet. Not until I knew what would happen next. After dropping them back at home, it felt strange to think of it as Nathan's house now. I noticed whispers from other parents in the neighborhood. Sidelong glances. Pitying looks. The humiliation burned nearly as much as the betrayal. My closest friend, Rachel, 38F, came to Anna's that night. She worked as a legal assistant at a law firm in town. She brought takeout food, a bottle of wine, and practical advice. She urged me to consult with a lawyer, just to understand my options. Not to make decisions yet, but to be prepared. Rachel said couples sometimes work through infidelity with counseling. Others couldn't rebuild the trust. Both paths were valid. She promised to support me either way. I spent the next week in limbo. Going through the motions at work. Seeing the children every day after school. Avoiding Nathan except for brief exchanges about the kids' schedules. The principal called me into her office after I returned to work. She expressed concern about my ability to teach while dealing with personal issues. I assured her I could compartmentalize. The routine of teaching actually helped. Focusing on lesson plans and student needs gave me hours where I didn't have to think about my crumbling marriage. 10 days after moving to Anna's, I agreed to meet Nathan at a coffee shop to discuss our situation. For the kids' sake, we needed to communicate. He arrived early. The dark circles under his eyes and his unshaven face showed he wasn't sleeping well. A small, petty part of me felt satisfied by this. I ordered a black coffee and sat across from him. He started apologizing immediately. Called his affair the biggest mistake of his life. Swore it was over. Begged for another chance. I listened silently. When he finished, I told him I didn't know if forgiveness was possible. The trust between us was broken. I couldn't unsee those photos or unhear his admission about his feelings for Kelly. As we talked, the coffee shop door opened. Kelly walked in. She spotted us and headed straight for our table. My first instinct was to leave, but curiosity kept me seated. Kelly looked terrible, red-rimmed eyes, unwashed hair. She asked if she could join us. Nathan looked panicked, which seemed odd if things were truly over between them as he claimed. What happened next changed everything. Kelly revealed that Nathan had lied to both of us. The affair wasn't over. He had been telling her for months that he planned to leave me for her. She pulled out her phone and showed me text messages from him, dated just 2 days ago, reassuring her they would be together soon. Nathan turned pale. He couldn't deny what was right there on the screen. Then Kelly dropped another bombshell. She thought she might be pregnant. She'd missed her period and had been feeling sick in the mornings. I walked out of the coffee shop without another word. My legs carried me 3 blocks before I realized I had no destination in mind. I just needed to get away. The magnitude of Nathan's deception stunned me. He hadn't just cheated. He had been playing both of us, making promises he couldn't keep, trying to maintain 2 separate lives. For the next week, the scandal consumed our small town. Nathan's dental practice suffered as patients canceled appointments. The office manager placed Kelly on leave. Nathan moved out of our house and stayed with his brother across town. I returned to the house for the children's sake. They needed stability, and the familiar environment of home provided that. Nathan agreed to this arrangement without argument. He came by to see the kids but never stayed long. With Rachel's help, I consulted a lawyer to understand my rights regarding divorce, property division, and custody. I hadn't made any decisions yet, but I needed information. Lily and Ben sensed something was wrong despite our efforts to shield them. Lily became clingy, following me around the house. Ben had nightmares 3 nights in a row. I arranged for them to see a child psychologist to help them process their confusion. 2 weeks after the coffee shop confrontation, Kelly called me. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. She apologized for her role in the affair. She claimed she truly believed Nathan planned to leave me. She said she felt used and betrayed, just as I did. I didn't know whether to believe her, but her pain sounded genuine. As April turned to May, I focused on establishing a new normal. Taking care of the children. Teaching my classes. Maintaining the house. One day at a time became my mantra. Some days felt impossible. Others, merely difficult. Nathan continued reaching out, asking for another chance. I wasn't ready to make any permanent decisions. The wound was too fresh, the betrayal too raw. Each morning, I woke up and put on a brave face for Lily and Ben. Each night, after they went to bed, I allowed myself to fall apart in the privacy of my bedroom. The future I had planned disappeared, replaced by uncertainty and fear. But beneath the fear, a small spark of determination grew. Whatever happened next, I would get through this. For myself. For my children. One step at a time. Update 1, it's been 3 weeks since my last post. The shock has worn off, but the pain remains. I'm still living in our family home with Lily and Ben. Nathan continues staying with his brother, coming by only to see the kids. The pregnancy test results came back positive. Kelly is indeed pregnant, about 8 weeks along. Nathan looked shell-shocked when he told me. He seemed torn between his responsibilities to our family and his obligations to Kelly and their unborn child. For the first time, I felt a twinge of pity for him. He created this mess, and now he must live with the consequences. Last week, something unexpected happened. I received an anonymous email with the subject line, "There's more going on at the dental practice than you know." The message claimed Nathan and Kelly's affair was covering something larger and more concerning. The sender promised to provide evidence if I was interested. My first thought was that this was just more town gossip. Someone trying to stir up additional drama. But curiosity got the better of me. I replied, asking for more information. 2 days later, another email arrived with an attachment, financial records from the dental practice showing inconsistencies. Large amounts of money moving through accounts that didn't match patient records. The sender suggested Nathan might be involved in insurance fraud or something similar. I showed the documents to Rachel during our weekly dinner. Her legal background proved invaluable as she helped me understand what we were looking at. The records indicated systematic overbilling of insurance companies and possibly billing for procedures never performed. Rachel advised caution. These allegations were serious, potentially criminal. If true, Nathan could face not just the loss of his practice but legal charges. She offered to help me investigate further through contacts at her law firm. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to walk away, to focus solely on rebuilding my life with the children. But another part needed to know the full truth, no matter how painful. Rachel and I spent the next week gathering information. We reviewed the financial documents carefully. She consulted discreetly with a colleague who specialized in healthcare fraud cases. The evidence mounted. Nathan's practice showed patterns consistent with systematic insurance fraud. I decided to confront Nathan directly. I invited him to the house after the children went to bed. When he arrived, hope shone in his eyes. He thought this might be about reconciliation. That hope died when I placed the financial documents on the kitchen table. Nathan's face drained of color as he looked through the papers. He didn't even ask how I obtained them. He just stared, his hands shaking. After a long silence, he broke down. He admitted everything. The insurance fraud had started small, about 2 years ago. He needed money to cover gambling debts that had spiraled out of control. He never told me about his gambling problem, hiding it completely. Kelly had discovered the fraud shortly after she started working at the practice. Rather than reporting it, she agreed to help him in exchange for a cut of the money. Their affair developed alongside their criminal partnership. Nathan claimed things escalated beyond his control. The more they got away with it, the bolder they became. The affair served as a convenient cover for their meetings about the fraud scheme. Most shocking of all, Nathan revealed that Kelly had wanted to come clean after discovering her pregnancy. She worried about raising a child while involved in criminal activity. Nathan threatened to blame everything on her if she exposed the scheme. Kelly called me the next day, unaware that Nathan had already confessed. She sounded frightened. She admitted her part in the fraud but claimed Nathan had manipulated her from the start, using her feelings for him to ensure her cooperation. After learning she was pregnant, she wanted out but felt trapped by his threats. In a bizarre twist, Kelly and I found common ground as victims of Nathan's manipulation. She agreed to cooperate with authorities in exchange for potential leniency. She provided additional documentation proving Nathan was the mastermind behind the scheme. I reported everything to the proper authorities. The state dental board suspended Nathan's license pending investigation. The insurance companies involved launched their own investigations. Criminal charges seemed inevitable. Nathan begged me not to involve the authorities, claiming he could make things right. He said he would get help for his gambling addiction. He promised to repay the money somehow. But it was too late for promises. He had broken too many already. With Nathan's double life exposed, I filed for divorce and sought full custody of Lily and Ben. The lawyer Rachel recommended specialized in high-conflict divorce cases and understood the complexities of our situation. My parents drove from 2 states away to stay with us for a couple of weeks. Their presence provided much-needed support for me and normalcy for the children. Even Nathan's parents called to express their shock and to offer help with the kids. They were horrified by their son's actions. Telling Lily and Ben about the divorce ranks among the hardest things I've ever done. We kept the explanation simple and age-appropriate, avoiding details about the affair and certainly not mentioning the fraud. We simply told them that sometimes grown-ups change and can't live together anymore, but both parents still love them very much. As expected, they had questions I couldn't fully answer. Lily wanted to know if Daddy did something bad. Ben asked if they would have 2 houses now. They both cried, and so did I. The child psychologist continued working with them weekly. She advised consistency and honesty, appropriate to their ages, during this transition period. Nathan was arrested last week. The sight of him being led away in handcuffs made the local newspaper. Now everyone in town knows not just about his affair but about his crimes. The humiliation I felt earlier pales in comparison to the public scandal now. I took a week off from teaching to process everything and to shield the children from the worst of the publicity. My principal proved surprisingly understanding, arranging for a long-term substitute teacher to cover my classes if needed. Throughout this ordeal, my friends formed a protective circle around me. They brought meals, offered to watch the kids, and kept me company on particularly difficult evenings. Rachel remained my steadfast ally, helping me navigate the legal aspects while providing emotional support. Kelly moved back with her parents in a neighboring town to escape the gossip and prepare for the baby's arrival. We maintain limited contact, primarily regarding the legal proceedings against Nathan. Our unlikely alliance continues out of mutual necessity. Nathan's dental practice closed permanently. The other dentists and staff had no knowledge of the fraud and now found themselves suddenly unemployed. Many of them expressed anger toward Nathan for destroying their livelihoods. Some reached out to me with information that further confirmed the extent of his deception. As I write this update, Nathan remains in jail awaiting trial. His brother posted bail initially, but it was revoked when evidence suggested Nathan might flee. The criminal case against him grows stronger each day as investigators uncover more details of the fraud. I'm taking things one day at a time. Some mornings, getting out of bed feels like an impossible task. Other days, I find strength I never knew I possessed. The future remains uncertain, but I'm committed to creating stability for Lily and Ben amid the chaos their father created. Update 2: 4 months have passed since Nathan's arrest. The legal system moves slowly, but things are progressing. Nathan accepted a plea deal last month, 5 years in prison with possibility of parole after serving 3. The insurance fraud involved over $400,000 in false claims over 2 years. The divorce was finalized last week. I received full custody of Lily and Ben, with Nathan granted supervised visitation after his release from prison. The house is now solely in my name, along with half of our other assets. Nathan's legal fees and restitution payments claimed much of his share. Kelly gave birth to a baby boy last month. She named him Ethan. She received a suspended sentence and probation in exchange for her testimony against Nathan. Her cooperation proved crucial to the prosecution's case. The dental practice building sold to a medical group from the city. Some of the former staff found positions there. Others moved away for fresh starts. The scandal's shadow has begun to fade from daily conversation in town, though I still notice occasional whispers when I enter the grocery store. Lily and Ben continue seeing their psychologist. Lily, especially, struggles with anger toward her father. She refuses to visit him in prison. Ben still asks when Daddy is coming home, not fully understanding the situation despite our attempts to explain. The psychologist assures me their reactions are normal and that consistent support will help them adjust over time. My teaching job provides stability. My students' energy and enthusiasm offer daily respite from personal troubles. The routine of lesson plans, homework grading, and classroom management keeps me grounded. I've started looking for a new house in a nearby town. Not too far, close enough for the kids to maintain friendships and school connections, but far enough to escape the weight of gossip and memories. We need a fresh start in a place without constant reminders. My parents visit monthly, staying for long weekends to help with the children. Anna calls daily. Rachel still comes over weekly for dinner and moral support. Without this network, I'm not sure how I would have survived the past months. Kelly and I maintain a strained but civil relationship. We've agreed that Ethan, as Lily and Ben's half-brother, should know his siblings. Once the dust settles further, we'll establish some form of regular contact between the children. For now, I've seen Ethan only once, during a brief, awkward meeting arranged by our lawyers. Nathan writes letters from prison, to me, to the children, seeking forgiveness and promising change. The letters to the kids are heartbreaking. He tries to explain his absence in terms they can understand, without revealing the full truth. I read them before deciding whether to share them. Some I keep back, finding them too manipulative or inappropriate. Others I pass along, wanting the children to maintain some connection with their father despite everything. The financial aftermath of Nathan's crimes created unexpected challenges. His fraudulent billing led to audits of our personal finances. I spent weeks with accountants and investigators, proving which assets came from legitimate income versus fraudulent means. The legal bills mounted, but Rachel's firm offered a payment plan that made it manageable. Last month, I joined a support group for partners of those with gambling addiction. The stories shared there helped me understand Nathan's behavior wasn't entirely about moral failings but partly driven by a genuine disorder. This knowledge doesn't excuse his actions but provides context that somehow makes it easier to explain to the children as they grow older. In an unexpected development, Nathan's former business partner, who left the practice years ago, contacted me. He revealed he had suspected financial irregularities back then, which contributed to their parting ways. He apologized for not warning me, saying he lacked concrete evidence and didn't want to interfere in our marriage. His revelation added another layer to Nathan's pattern of deception. It started earlier than anyone realized. As we approach the 6-month mark since the initial discovery, I find myself less consumed by anger and betrayal. Those emotions haven't disappeared, but they no longer dominate every waking moment. In their place grows a cautious optimism about the future, not the future I planned, but one I'm determined to make work for myself and my children. Update 3: A full year has passed since that text message shattered my world. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago, other times, like yesterday. But life moves forward, regardless of whether we're ready. We moved to our new house 3 months ago. It's smaller than our previous home but feels more like ours, Lily, Ben, and mine. The kids each chose the colors for their bedrooms. Ben picked bright blue, Lily a soft purple. I painted the kitchen yellow, a color Nathan always vetoed. These small choices symbolize our new beginning. Nathan continues serving his sentence at the minimum security prison 2 hours away. He's completed various programs there: gambling addiction treatment, financial management courses, and anger management. Whether these changes are genuine or calculated for early parole remains to be seen. The children visit him monthly. I drive them there and wait in the visitor area while they spend time with their father. Lily initially refused to go but has gradually softened her stance. Ben looks forward to these visits, though he often returns subdued and clingy afterward. The prison environment, despite efforts to make the visiting area child-friendly, takes its toll on them. Kelly moved to a city about 40 miles away. She found work as a receptionist at a law firm and seems to be building a stable life for herself and Ethan. We've established a schedule for the children to spend time together once a month. The first few visits were awkward, but the kids have adjusted. Lily has embraced her role as big sister to Ethan, reading to him and showing him her toys. Ben sometimes gets jealous of the attention Ethan receives but is learning to share. My teaching career continues to provide fulfillment and financial stability. I received a promotion to head of the English department this fall, which came with a modest salary increase. The additional responsibility keeps me busy but in a purposeful way. 6 months ago, I met someone. James, 42M, coaches basketball at the high school and teaches history. We worked together on a school committee and gradually developed a friendship that evolved into something more. He's divorced with a teenage daughter who gets along well with Lily and Ben. Our relationship progresses slowly. James knows my history and respects my caution. We've been on numerous dates, always arranged around my children's schedules. He joined us for a family picnic last month, the first time I've introduced the kids to someone I'm dating. Ben challenged him to endless games of catch. Lily remained reserved but politely engaged when he asked about her artwork. I visited Nathan in prison last week, my first solo visit since his incarceration. He seemed genuinely surprised to see me. I needed closure, to look him in the eye and hear his explanation without lawyers or children present. He appeared thinner, older, his confident demeanor replaced by something more humble. He apologized again, this time without excuses or self-pity. He acknowledged the destruction his actions caused and expressed remorse that seemed authentic. The gambling addiction, he explained, began during a difficult period in his practice, when financial pressures mounted. One lucky win at a casino led to another, then to losses he tried to recover, spiraling deeper with each attempt. The fraud started small, just one falsified insurance claim to cover a gambling debt. Then another. Then systematically. Kelly discovered the discrepancies in the books and confronted him. He bought her silence by involving her in the scheme, then manipulated her emotionally through the affair. Hearing the full story didn't erase the pain, but it helped me understand the progression from the man I married to the stranger he became. I left the prison with a sense of completion, ready to close that chapter entirely. My parents recently retired and moved to a house just 30 minutes away to be closer to their grandchildren. Their support has been invaluable, providing childcare when needed and a sense of extended family that the kids desperately need. Anna and her husband invited us to join them on a beach vacation this summer. The children loved building sandcastles and splashing in the waves. I rediscovered simple pleasures, reading a book without interruption, walking along the shore at sunset, laughing without restraint. These moments of joy no longer feel like betrayal to my pain but rather like well-earned respite. The small-town gossip has largely moved on to fresh scandals. I still encounter pitying looks occasionally, but they affect me less now. My identity no longer revolves around being Nathan's betrayed wife or the victim of a public scandal. I started volunteering with a financial literacy program at the community center, teaching basics of personal finance to high school students and young adults. This work feels meaningful. Perhaps some of these young people will avoid the financial troubles that contributed to Nathan's downfall. Kelly and I will never be friends, but we've achieved a functional co-parenting relationship focused on the children's well-being. She seems genuinely committed to doing right by Ethan and maintaining his connection with his half-siblings. Nathan's parents visit Ethan regularly, treating him the same as their other grandchildren, which I find admirable. Looking ahead, challenges remain. Nathan will be eligible for parole in another year. His re-entry into our lives, even in a limited capacity, will require adjustment. The children will face questions as they grow older and understand more about their father's actions. Ethan will eventually need more complete explanations about his parents' history. But today, for the first time in a long while, the future doesn't terrify me. We've weathered the worst storm, the children are resilient, and I've discovered strength I never knew I possessed. Not the life I planned, but one worth living nonetheless. If there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's that things are rarely as they appear on the surface. That perfect life I thought I had was built on secrets and lies. The broken pieces I've reassembled may not look perfect, but they're honest and real. And that makes all the difference.